All right, kids, here's a riddle for you. What does the blonde SportsLine anchor and the coaches of the LaSalle men's soccer team have in common? Neither of us are going to be at LaSalle come next fall. And yes, that joke was worth not having anyone in soccer wanting to do an interview with us from here on out. Hello, I'm Siobhan Nolan.
And I'm Libby Gilliland. Since we'll never have another soccer interview, it's a good thing that the golf teams are off to a hot start and your brunette co-host has all the golf connections covered. You're watching LaSalle TV's home for Explorer Athletics, SportsLine.
Welcome to SportsLine. Our team certainly played sports this week, but did they play them well? I guess you'll have to stick around for recaps to find out.
And later, I sat down with 3 juniors from the women's golf team to get the scoop on their season.
But first, let's take a look at our SportsLine top 3.
It's been a slow week of headlines for LaSalle sports, but Sophia Pla won NovaCare Student Athlete of the Week this week, making this the second week in a row a field hockey player has received the honor. Although the team lost both of their games this weekend, Pla was still a key defensive performer and got some shots on goal in as well.
Number 2, the Atlantic 10 announced the women's basketball schedule for this winter season. In a field of intense competitors, the Explorers will be taking on Big 5 opponents Temple, Penn, and St. Joe's. They will also be traveling to Alaska for a game. Mark your calendars. The A10 play kicks off on November 7th.
Number 3, team captain of the women's golf team, Hannah Bosler, had a career best tournament at the Delaware State Invitational this week. Playing as the team number 1, she fired a 78 on the first day, followed by a 79 on their 36-hole day of competition, and followed her performance with a career best 74 on the final day of the event. Her scores led the Explorers to a program record.
Some more records for golf. Livy, the women's golf team is obviously the team that has got it this week. So just what is it like to have both the men's and women's teams setting such good program records and just having strong outings every time?
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, these are scores that we haven't seen from this program ever before, and I think it's a huge testament to the recruiting that our coaches did last year and the new coach coming in, Dana Burley from ex-Michigan State coach came in and took the place of our old coach, and she's been incredible. I mean, she's coming in with new drills, new ideas, and I think it's really settling in with this team, and they're playing a lot better because of it.
And you know, you mentioned having a new coach. What was it like to just kind of have to settle in? Because usually there's a transitional period, but it seems like you guys are just getting off, you know, comfortable right away. So what is it like to not really have to suffer through that period where people are still adjusting to new leadership?
Yeah, absolutely. It's important to have that connection right away. And with fall sports, you're coming off of the summer and you have to be ready to play anyway. So we were ready, and our new coach was ready to just step in and start practices right away and travel with the team, and it's going really well so far. So we're pleased, and I think we'll just keep going up from here.
And another exciting headline is women's basketball. Their A10 schedule got announced. It's a pretty stacked schedule. They have 3 of the Big 5 opponents in there. There's Temple, Penn, St. Joe's, also an Alaska game, which I thought was really interesting. But it's going to be really fun to see how they compete against both A10 and Big 5 teams as well. And I just think that basketball is going to be shaping up to have some really interesting seasons this year.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see him play this year. And Alaska, who doesn't want to go to Alaska? It'll be great. So.
I don't know why Alaska's somewhere in the A10, but hopefully women's basketball can have another pretty good season. You know, they're still under Mountain McGilvery. They still have the Jacobs twins. You know, hopefully some more recruits can be brought in because they only lost 2 seniors last year. Granted, one of them was Kayla Sproul, and she had the season of her life. But it'll be really fun to see how women's basketball fares with such a stacked schedule, because there's a lot of opponents that they have to face.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think, you know, building off of what they had last year, same coach, you know, they've had a good season, so building on that and continuing to play well, and I think the adversity will help them.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait until November to find that out, but that's it for the top 3. Now let's see how our teams did in this week's recaps. Men's soccer had another week to forget, starting with the home game against St. Louis to open up their Atlantic 10 play. The opening minutes of the game saw each team recording 3 shots on goal, but St. Louis scored in the 26th minute to pull ahead 1-0. The Billikens would score again in the 39th minute to go into halftime 2-0. The early minutes of the second half didn't go as planned, with St. Louis being awarded a penalty kick. They were able to score from the spot, leading LaSalle to a 3-0 loss. A small bright spot of the game came when senior Luis Puchol netted a goal, his first of the season, but LaSalle still fell 3-1 at full time. The Blue and Gold then hit the road to take on Monmouth, where they were able to hold a home team pretty even in the first half, going into halftime tied 0-0. Monmouth would break the tie in the 55th minute, scoring their first goal, then following up shortly with their second to hand the Explorers a disappointing 2-0 loss.
Men's golf headed to Connecticut last weekend to compete in the Hartford Hawk Invitational. Kevin Lyden had yet another standout performance, starting the event at 2 under. Freshman Armand Lacalzo also fired a 70 on day 1 to put the Explorers in good position heading into the rest of the weekend. In 10th, this team had no scores in red numbers, with a 73 from Carson Rush leading the team. The next day saw Kevin Lyden shoot another 70 and end the event in 12th place. Freshman Anthony Garcia had a solid tournament, shooting 74, 73, and a 76. The team finished 14th overall and will head to New York for the Binghamton Invitational October 1st and 2nd.
Things weren't much better for the women's soccer team as they started their week with a game of their own against St. Louis. The Explorers got the first goal of the game thanks to a header assist from Kelly McGroarty, which led to a goal for Emily Banaszewski. The Billikens evened the score at 1-1 in the 29th minute, but a strong second half from the visitors saw them put 3 more goals past LaSalle, ending in a 4-1 loss. Then it was off to Chicago, where LaSalle and Loyola Chicago found themselves deadlocked at 0 at halftime, even though the home team had the advantage in terms of shots and corner kicks. Rikshia Walker, Emily Banaszewski, and Haley Gashray all had chances, but couldn't find the back of the net in the second half. The lone goal of the game would come off the foot of a Loyola player, resulting in a 1-0 loss for the Explorers.
Women's golf headed to the Delaware State Invitational this weekend to kick off their fall season. The team got going early Monday morning for their 36-hole round. Hannah Bosler led the team, firing a 78 and a 79, with freshman Nita Akonova shooting a pair of 80s in her collegiate debut. Junior Kaylee Zeman shot 87, followed by a 79 on day 1. The Explorers managed a program record on day 1 with their solid performance. Day 3 was a career best for junior Hannah Bosler, followed by more solid performances from the rest of the team. Nina Okonova fired a 78, while Kaylee Zeman and transfer sophomore Paige Ciramano shot 83s. Following close behind was freshman Sydney Levery with an 89. The team finished 10th overall, and the team is back at it this weekend and will head to the Bucknell Invitational.
Both the LaSalle men's and women's cross-country teams traveled to Haverford College Friday night to compete in the Mainline Invitational. The Explorers had a good night, which concluded with 3 participants finishing in the top 20. Jericho Lufrano was the first Explorer to finish the 3-mile race for the women, finishing 11th with a time of 18 minutes and 18.8 seconds. Emma Taylor, a freshman, finished 14th, with newcomer Ella Varello finishing next for the Explorers at 31st. Cassie McLeese and Alicia Throton rounded out the squad with times of 21 minutes and 54.7 seconds and 23 minutes and 23 seconds respectively. For the men, newcomer Finn Burney finished with a time of 20 minutes and 9.7 seconds in the 4-mile, which was good for 17th. Stefano Isabella was the next Explorer to cross the line, finishing 31st, with Nathan Palangeli right behind him to take 34th respectively. Joseph Brandenburt rounded the pack for the Explorers, finishing with a final time of 21 minutes and 9 seconds. So, another full week of sports to talk about. Men's soccer, another disappointing pair of games. I hate to say that I'm not surprised, but I'm not really surprised. It's good that they got a goal in Luis Puchol, but it's just disappointing performance after disappointing performance. And at this week, I'd be really, really surprised if Taylor Thames was back at LaSalle next season.
Yeah, it's definitely frustrating, but you have to hope at some point the team can turn it around. They've got to get their camaraderie back together. Losing that many games in a row is just hard on a team. So you've got to assume that they're not getting along great. So hopefully they can pull it back together and get some wins just to up the team dynamic a little bit.
And women's soccer also lost both their games, but they had some more offensive opportunities, which is something we've seen the men's team struggle with. But, you know, you still don't want to measure in opportunities. You want to be able to measure in results. And right now, just both teams aren't where we need them to be. And cross country didn't have their best outing either at the Mainline Invitational. We saw some new names get up in the top 20 and in the top 30 as well. So that's a bright spot, but it's another kind of weak for teams that we usually see better performances out of.
Yeah, and again, you've just got to hope that they can turn it around at some point. I have no doubt that cross country is going to be right back at it.
Definitely.
I mean, they've had great performance after great performance, so a down week isn't too much of a concern for them. The Mancini sisters will get them back on track, I'm sure.
And men's golf had another strong outing, maybe not the record-breaking performance that they had last week, but Kevin Lyden again, you know, showing out, being the star. How amazing is it, Libby, to have a freshman just perform that well consistently? Granted, it's only been 2 invitationals, but it's still an amazing start for him.
Yeah, it's unheard of to have a freshman come in and play that well off the bat. And, you know, he shoots 61. We're like, okay, this kid is great, but can he back it up? And he did this week, and that was really what we were looking for. So seeing that performance from him and then radiating through the rest of the team, they didn't have a score in the 80s this week. That's never happened before. I mean, 70s is where they need to be. And so, yeah, they finished 14th in this event. It was a pretty strong event that they got to play in, but we're still seeing improvement, and it's going to keep getting better. So I'm sure we'll see them at the top of the leaderboard coming up soon.
And that's not to say golf didn't have any record-breaking performances, because as we mentioned, Hannah Bosler had an amazing day for her. What is it like to have the team captain just have such a great performance like that?
Oh yeah, she's worked so hard for that team, and seeing her have success is really incredible. Super proud of the whole team's performance.
Definitely great stuff to see, and we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, Libby got to sit down with the upperclassmen who are breaking records for women's golf. You won't want to miss it, so stick around.
I just missed the shuttle.
You never hit record!
I never hit record. I just got an F on my exam.
Is that you? Do you sit around bored all day? Do you want to watch television shows where you can look at the people and be like, I can be that. That's me. Well, you should check out Salle TV. That rhymes. We got entertainment news at Backstage Pass. We got regular news at LTV News. We got sports news at Sports Talk and SportsLine. And for those of you who really want some fun stuff, Q&A. Because down at Salle TV, we got a full buffet.
Thanks, LaSalle TV.
Thanks, LaSalle TV.
Thanks, LaSalle TV. I still miss my shuttle.
This is my husband, Alex Hussey. Alex is about 2 weeks away from coming home.
I was point man in foot patrol, and I stopped on the bomb. Lost my legs and my left hand in an explosion.
And he suffered a severe traumatic brain injury.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
There are so many mountains to climb, and we do it together.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories, great and small.
Come on, Alex, take on this mountain. That's what this is all about.
DAV provides a lifetime of support to veterans of every generation, helping more than 1 million veterans each year.
Alex has conquered this mountain. That's something he won't forget.
With the right support, there are no limits.
Look at that smile! You did it!
But there's more to be done, and more victories to be won.
This has meant so much.
Thank you, DAV.
Alex Hussey, thank you for your service. Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Welcome back. On this week's edition of On the Sidelines, Libby got to have a laugh with 3 juniors on the golf team that happened to be her best friends, teammates, and key components to the upcoming golf season for the Explorers. Check it out.
Kaylee, thank you so much for sitting down with me today just to talk a little bit about your upcoming season. On the course this year, new coach, totally new dynamic. How is everything going so far?
I think it's going great. We've met our coach a few times and she's really taken the lead in directing us and trying to make us better, which has been fun to do that as a team and interacting together through that process.
Oh yeah, I mean, we've all been through a lot together, so like this is just nothing really too new. We're still always having fun, keeping things light.
Well, Hannah can explain her new game that she came up with today that I was not having a fun time with.
We decided to do a closest to the pin competition, and it was elimination style, so if you were furthest away from the hole, you had to do 5 push-ups and you were out. So that was fun.
And just talk a little bit about this team dynamic. How much fun is it to be around each other and, you know, practice together again, just be a team again?
It's so fun. Like, you all are my best friends in like probably the world, and I always enjoy hanging out with you guys, and it's also been fun to like learn about the freshmen and our transfer sophomore.
I think we've had a couple big ideas as a group, and we never really got to do them in the past because we just felt like we were too young and like couldn't bring those type of things up. So now we're able to take initiative and kind of change the parts that we didn't necessarily love to make us love all of it.
Overall, what are you all most looking forward to this year?
I'm just excited to start traveling again. It's always such a fun time to like be with everyone and spend the weekend together. Even though the competitions can be stressful, we always have a good time. Like the dynamic is just really fun, and I enjoy it a lot.
I'd say same thing. Team dinners are always a highlight.
The van rides can be quite fun as well.
Yeah, and I know this team has some pretty tough majors going on. How do you all balance your academic life with social life, just hanging out as a team and performing well in the course?
It's definitely difficult in the sense of like it took time for me to like get used to. Like freshman year was a lot of figuring out what worked, what didn't, where was I losing time, where are the pockets that I could use time better. And I feel like now as a junior I've gotten a lot more efficient and like I know how to plan things out better, and I know that sometimes I have to be like, I have to sit down and do work right now. Like, would I love to watch an episode of Netflix? Yes, but I can't, or else, things just don't get done.
Yeah. Let's say sleep. Also prioritizing that, just so we're rested for the big days that we have coming up.
Definitely.
You all came to school when COVID first happened. What has life been like since COVID? How does this year feel different than your freshman year, or does it feel different?
Well, in a golf sense, our freshman year we were playing as a team in the same group, and that was something that none of us had ever done, and so I think like being thrown in with that was a little tough for our first couple of years, but now we're playing with other people again, and the weather's nice, and people are just like more social and stuff, so that's been a great impact.
Yeah, I'd say like on the school or like the campus side, things are finally, I feel like, stabilizing out. Like I know last year we still had to wear masks in classes, and like there were some things that were limited socially, but this year I think everything's kind of like leveling out more than in past years, which has been really nice.
From a golf standpoint, each of you, what have you improved on the most since you first got here?
Well, when I first came here, I was not great at hitting my driver at all, and I feel like I've gotten a lot better at that, and just like being more consistent in general, so yeah.
I would say my putting. I had some records for most 3-putts in rounds, and it cost me, so I spent a lot of time on that, and I almost got rid of them.
Yeah, I'd also say putting, and then also like eliminating penalty shots and big numbers on my card has helped a lot.
So with the recent news of Kevin Lyden on the men's team shooting 61, breaking a bunch of records, not only LaSalle records, but NCAA records, he's all over the news, and really cool for the program, but does that put any pressure on you and the rest of the team to perform well this season?
We did have a freshman perform really well, but I think for the most part, I think it just excites us because the recruiting classes that we brought in are just getting better and better, and that helps. In golf, it's individual, and then you put a score up at the end of the day, so as we start bringing those individual trends lower, the pieces are going to fall together eventually. It's going to feel really nice.
It's nice seeing any of our teams do well, especially like within our school. People are always like, oh my God, wait, we have a golf team, and here we have a freshman who's plastered literally everywhere because he's doing so well, and it's nice seeing the program have that kind of notoriety and getting that recognition that like, hey, like these kids are pretty good, and seeing, like as Hannah said, all the talent that's coming in. It's really like, it's hopeful, and it's nice to see.
Overall, do you have any goals for the season personally or as a team?
Just keep getting better. You know, when we first started, our program was pretty rough. We're not the best, so every year we're just getting better. We're not finishing like down at the bottom anymore. We're getting up in the rankings and the spit, you know, so just keep improving.
I would also say just like enjoying every second and soaking it all in, because I know that next year we're probably gonna have some schedule changes and things like that. So really just taking advantage of where we're at now and where we're gonna go in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
We're going to take another break, but when we come back, we'll be giving our spiciest takes on LaSalle athletics so far this season.
To raise awareness and funds that change the world for everyone affected by multiple sclerosis. MS attacks the brain and spinal cord. It's the most common neurological disease leading to disability in young adults. Walk MS brings communities together, creating teams with friends, loved ones, and coworkers to rally around those we care about and end MS forever. Join us. Together we are stronger. Walk MS fundraising accelerates research breakthroughs and life-changing breakthroughs. It will take all of our passion, determination, and fundraising to end MS forever. Together, we can change the world for people with MS. Join us. Register today, start a team, and raise funds at walkms.org.
Using meth taught me everything about freedom, only not like you think. It taught me how easy it is to lose your freedom, how meth can take control until you find yourself doing whatever meth tells you to do. Before you get there, while you still can, take a stand for yourself. If you feel yourself losing your freedom to meth, ask for help. Accept the help. It's worth it. You have the power to be truly free and be the person you want to be. I know. I'm Jan, and I'm free from meth.
If you or someone you know is struggling with meth, call 1-800-662-HELP for 24-hour free and confidential treatment referral. Learn more at samhsa.gov/meth.
Welcome back. We are going to have our first, but certainly not our last hot take segment of this season. So Libby, take it away with yours.
Okay, well, shockingly, Siobhan, I'm going to talk about golf. I think that our recruiting class next year is going to be incredible. I think it's going to be the best one that we've had yet because of the performance of both men's and women's, what we've seen so far. So in the past, you know, the women's program is pretty new, so we haven't had the best recruiting classes, but we've had people who are growing and getting better. And as they're getting better, we're bringing in better recruits. So we have a freshman from Slovakia this year who's coming in and playing incredible already. Freshman from Ohio, Sydney Levery, who's playing well already. They're already in the lineup, and showing that the freshmen can come in and play well, I think that really leads room for recruits to say, hey, I can have success here at LaSalle too. And I think on the men's side, you know, you have a freshman literally breaking NCAA records. Who doesn't want to come to LaSalle now to play? We're playing in higher class events with better teams. We're moving ourselves up the leaderboard, and I think it's really going to pay big benefits for our program as we continue, and I mean, as early as next year.
And shockingly enough, I have a hot take about men's soccer. So as much as I wanted to believe in Taylor Thames and the philosophy that he had when he first came, it's very, very obvious that the results are just not there. They went 6-10 last season. They're on a really horrendous losing streak, and you can change the formation all you want. You can change around positions and put people in positions they don't necessarily belong in, but at the end of the day, you know, the team chemistry, the coaching, the fact that they're telling themselves that, you know, other teams weren't as good as them when they're losing 3-1, 2-0, when the offense isn't getting going. At that point, LaSalle needs to be the kind of school that fires a coach mid-season, because unless they want to have another huge losing season where they don't make NCAA tournaments, they get, you know, consistently lower ranked in A10 ratings in preseason, they have to grow a backbone, and they have to tell Taylor Thames and his coaching staff that unless huge changes are made, you know, we're going to be a losing soccer team. But in this upcoming games this week, we have even more Explorer games to look forward to that will hopefully fare a bit better. Men's soccer will hit the road to take on St. Joe's on Saturday, September 24th, while women's soccer will also be traveling, where they'll be in Richmond to go against VCU on Sunday, September 25th.
Women's golf will spend the weekend in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, participating in the Bucknell Invitational, and field hockey will also have a busy weekend, taking on VCU at home on Friday, September 23rd. Then traveling to Villanova for a game on Sunday, September 25th.
And that just about wraps it up for us this week. If you can't make it out to see the Explorer Report, be sure to tune in next week for our coverage. Keep up with this weekend's other sporting events by visiting goexplorers.com. You can also check out the digital edition of The Collegian, which now features SportsLine content.
Also check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/LaSalle TV and on Instagram at SportsLine LTV. We welcome you to send us your thoughts and suggestions there. This week's poll is, which Sad Girl Autumn song will you be crying the most to this season? The 10-minute version of All Too Well by Taylor Swift or Stick Season by Noah Kahan? Both good songs.
I know, I'm a 10-minute All Too Well girl myself, but for our entire SportsLine team, I'm Siobhan Nolan.
And I'm Libby Gilliland. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you at the game.